This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Friday, November 7th, 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net for our closing market discussion. But first, it is a continuation of my discussion with Erick Garcia of BASF Agricultural Solutions about Zorina fungicide. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Erick Garcia of BASF Agricultural Solutions. And Erick going to tell us about the new fungicide from BASF. It is Zorina fungicide. Erick, first of all, could you tell us about the registration process for Zorina? Has it cleared all of those hurdles?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me today. Yes, at BASF, we're excited to launch our latest innovation, Zorina fungicide. You are correct. We received EPA registration a few months ago and are currently in the process of receiving state registrations. So always check your state registration website to make sure approvals have been vetted and are good to go.
I know it's very important to be proactive when you're trying to protect your crops because, like you said, you don't always know what you're dealing with until it can sometimes be too late. So does Zorina fit right into that proactive crop management strategy of trying to stay ahead of things?
Absolutely. Zorina, our recommendation is to be proactive versus reactive. So with Zorina fungicide, we're looking at applications at soybeans around that R2 growth stage. Now, the reason we're targeting that R2 growth stage is sclerotinia, the pathogen that promotes white mold, is crops that are most susceptible to it are around that full bloom stage. So if we're not making applications of Zorina prior to that, around that R2 stage, we're already losing the battle. Anything after that, the pathogen has already taken hold and white mold is present. So with Zorina fungicide, again, the message is loud and clear. Proactive versus reactive, making those applications on soybeans around that R2 growth stage. One, to control white mold, but two, in order to provide us that long-lasting disease control that is comes from the Revasol component in Zorina.
This year in Iowa, we've heard so many stories from growers about the necessity for fungicide in a season like this year, and just also the difference between farmers that didn't use fungicide versus did apply that fungicide and able to see those tangible results. Are you seeing more of that from growers that, I guess, wanting to use fungicide because they are seeing the difference that it's making in their fields when, and especially when you look at growers that didn't use a fungicide at all?
We are seeing that. So in trials across 2025 and in prior studies, we're seeing yield bumps with Zorina fungicide, whether that field is untreated, has white mold, or doesn't have white mold, right? Whether it's untreated or versus the competitive set, we're seeing a yield response with Zorina fungicide, on average 7 bushels plus. And so again, as these diseases become ever present, right, there's so many things that, are outside of our control. We work in ag, and Mother Nature is one of those things we can't control. But what we can control is the inputs we apply on our crops in order to maximize their yield potential. And one of those is going to be Zorina fungicide in order to fight white mold and give us that residual control against other foliar diseases.
So Erick, lots of great information today about this new fungicide from BASF, Zorina fungicide. Is there anything else you'd like to let our Iowa growers know about when it comes to this new tool, or just anything that you're excited about with it?
Again, I can't say enough good things about this product. At BASF, we are committed to helping growers tackle the biggest job on earth by addressing diseases such as white mold with novel products such as Zorina fungicide. To learn more about Zorina, please contact your local BASF representative or visit us online at agriculture.basf.us.
He is Erick Garcia with BASF, my guest here today. Erick, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it, and have a great rest of your fall.
Thank you for the time, and likewise.
Thank you to Erick Garcia of BASF Agricultural Solutions for that discussion on the new Zorina fungicide to battle white mold. It's time now for the closing markets, and I'm joined by Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. Curt, what happened with the trade in the grains today?
Well, we mixed day, spread activity, buying beans, selling corn, buying beans, selling wheat. Corn was down 1 to 2 cents, soybeans up 8 to 9 cents, and the wheat market was down 7 to 8 cents a bushel on the day. On the weekly chart, kind of a call it a draw, corn down 2, beans up 2. Wheat took it on the chin, down 7. Boy, we had some giddy up and go in the wheat earlier in the week on some talk of Chinese purchases, and that kind of died down as we went into the close here on Friday. Fundamental news overall versus what at the beginning of the week was kind of skinny. I think the technical traders were kind of in charge here at the tail end on maybe take a little bit of profit, take a little bit of the long position off that we've accomplished here in the last couple of weeks, Mark.
So, Curt, when we look at the soybean complex, we got that price movement right away, of course, with the headline grab about the meeting between United States President Trump and Xi Jinping of China. And then things kind of cooled off a little bit. Is that cooling off pretty natural based on that big price jump initially? Or is that a reaction to China maybe looking to Brazil for those soybean purchases?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts there. For the most part, the initial surge up, we gapped higher, priced a lot of that in. One advisory firm was looking at the idea that they bought futures instead of cash. The cash guys were kind of scratching their head. Okay, they're going to be buying this. They're buying, but we're not seeing any cash sales announced. So to buy 12 million metric tons, they'd have to buy over 70,000 contracts of beans. But I think that was split between the beans and the meal. Meal was a bottle rocket to the upside here, also to this week. So I think some of this futures market was hedging on that buying. And now when they buy the actual physical commodity, it's a hedge. They'll sell the futures and buy the cash. But we just didn't see the cash news or the big transportation bookings that took place to back that up. So it's a consistent moving part. Also to the wordage of that. It's like, well, we're going to try to buy that many metric tons. So there's still uncertainty, needs some clarification here as we move down the road a little bit, but it's a work in process. The key on the soybean complex, though, is to hold that chart gap we left here when this whole news broke loose.
On the livestock side of the trade, what happened with the cattle and hogs today?
A little bit of a stability. Fats up $2 to $3, feeders up $4. Disappointing. There was no limit move today or expanded limit move today. Just continue to see some volatility on the week. The cattle was down $8, hogs slightly lower on the weekly chart. Cattle, a lot of news, lifting import tariffs from beef from Brazil. Maybe the border will open to feeder cattle or not. The thing is, when this all started, President was looking at wanting to do something about high-priced beef. Well, the producer's taking it on the chin here. Now it's the job of the middleman to pass on these savings to the consumer.
What's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
1-800-779-1515, or else go to agmarket.net and click on Intel. That's where the group puts most of their market information there.
Curt Kimmel with agmarket.net, my guest here today. Thanks so much for the time, Curt. We always appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
You bet. Take care.
Thank you to Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net for joining today's show. Let's take a look at how the markets closed. You can find the marketing information anytime under the Markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com. December corn closes down 1.5 at $4.27 1/4. January soybeans up 9.5 at $11.17 even. December soybean meal up $4.40 at $3.17.10. December soybean oil up 33 cents at $49.68. Chicago wheat down 7 3/4 at $5.27 3/4. Minneapolis wheat up a penny at $5.58. Kansas City hard red wheat down 3 cents at $5.19 1/4. December oats down 2 3/4 at $2.91 3/4. On the Merc, December live cattle closes up $2.58 at $221.35. November feeder cattle up $4.35 at $326.40. December lean hogs up 43 cents at 79.40. December pork cutout unchanged at 95 even. Class 3 milk up a penny at 17.20. That wraps up our closing markets for today and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. There you will find all of our daily ag news stories as well as our daily podcast. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Dustin Huffman and Riley Smith, you've been watching Ag Matters PM.